All right, guys, welcome back to another video. So, guys, we are basically at the halfway point of the NFL season, which is pretty hard to believe. We're between week 8 and week 9 is a couple days away, or officially did start yesterday with Thursday Night Football. So we're right there at the halfway point, and I thought this would be a pretty good idea. Look, perceptions change throughout an NFL season, and I think at the halfway point, we have a good enough sample size to do a mid-season quarterbacks tier list. I think perceptions have changed on a lot of these quarterbacks, and some of these quarterbacks have gotten better, some have gotten worse, some are the same as, well, compared to when the season started. So we're just going to dive into every team's starting quarterback and see where they're at right now at this point in time. Obviously, it's almost impossible that you guys will agree with me on all of these. There's a handful you probably won't agree with me on, but for that reason, you got to comment your opinions. I want to hear them. And without further ado, guys, here is our NFL mid-season QB tier list. And I know some quarterbacks have been benched, some have been hurt, so we're going to just try to go with the ones that are currently starting right now. And also, this tier list has more than just the starting quarterbacks. Like, starting here, like these last 10 or so, we're not even going to rank them because they're not relevant. Regardless, we're going to start with the random order that we are presented with in this tier list. We're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, the two-time MVP, or back-to-back reigning MVP. He slipped. He was an easy S tier coming into this season, but I have to be honest, obviously he doesn't have Davante Adams. Can't fully blame Aaron Rodgers, but regardless, it would be unfair to say that he's still an S-tier quarterback. I think he has fallen to the A tier. Obviously, still very good. The resume tells you he's still one of the better quarterbacks, but it would be unfair if I put him in S tier right now, because right now, he's not a truly elite quarterback. So next, we have Taylor Heinicke. This was Carson Wentz's starting gig, but he got hurt. Now Taylor Heinicke steps in, and correct me if I'm wrong, for you Washington fans watching this, for you Commanders fans, maybe at this point Taylor Heinicke is the better option. He's a fan favorite, he's tough, kind of clutch, and the team likes him, and you know what? I think he's not a bad leader. I got to give some respect to Taylor Heinicke. He is not a D-tier quarterback by any means, in my opinion. I think he's a C-tier, which I think is average, respectable, and then B tier is good, A tier is really good, S is great, and D tier is, probably benchable. So that's just to re-clarify what the tiers mean. We move on to Dak Prescott. Now, Cooper Rush has started a lot of games, but Dak Prescott is back, and especially last game against the Bears, he has looked really good, and we all know that Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback. The question is he in the A tier or is he in the B tier? Maybe before last week he was in the B tier because he wasn't playing too well when he was healthy. But I think Dak Prescott looks really good after that really good performance. Maybe it's some recency bias, but I think Dak Prescott's an A tier. I think he's top 12, right? Top 12, yeah. I don't know. I think right now I'm gonna put him in the S tier. I think he's up there. I think he's up there. So Prescott, A tier. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. I think he's playing better than he has in years past, and obviously the Giants are a good team right now, 6-2 record, so I give him credit for not completely blowing games, holding his own, especially with his rushing upside, but he still has problems throwing the ball, and I still wouldn't say he's a good quarterback or a very good quarterback. I'd say he's decent, so to me, he's kind of C tier at this point. I think he's kind of at that Taylor Heinicke level. He won't lose you a lot of games, but he's not going to win you a lot of games either. So I think that kind of defines what a C-tier quarterback is. Next, we have Davis Mills. You know what? Coming into this year, I think Davis Mills had a decent rookie season. I think he deserved some credit. Texans wanted to give him a full year to kind of get a better look at Davis Mills. And he's not terrible, but he's not that good. He hasn't been good. Can't fully blame him because who does he have to throw to other than Brandon Cooks, who didn't play last night on Thursday Night Football because he was upset that he didn't get traded. But even though it's not fully his fault, Davis Mills is in the D tier. He's our first one because he's not at Daniel Jones and Taylor Heinicke level, I think. I think he's a step down. I think Davis Mills is in the D tier, but I can't fully blame him. It's just the reality of his situation. So We move on to Derek Carr. Derek Carr, I think for the last close to a decade, has just been the definition of good, very solid, good quarterback. And I think that's basically the definition of a B-tier quarterback. Very solid. He's good, obviously. Kind of clutch, but he's not a next-level guy. He's not a franchise quarterback, in my opinion, so I think B-tier is definitely where he belongs. We move on to Geno Smith. Geno freaking Smith, the quarterback of the 5-3 Seahawks. He's been one of the best stories in football this year. He's had a good year. By far and away his best season. I mean, this guy in 2014, people were making fun of him because he was a complete bust. Never lived up to expectations. And all of a sudden, this guy is playing the best football of his career at a time when many of us maybe didn't think he'd still be in the league. So Geno Smith, an incredible story. He's playing very well for a good Seahawks team. What a surprise he's been. What a surprise his team has been. I never thought I'd say this. I never thought I'd see the day Geno Smith is a good B-tier quarterback. I can't believe it, but he's been good, and I am so happy for him. Great story right there. We move on to Jacoby Brissette, the Browns starting QB, obviously filling in for a man who got some illegal massage activity, and obviously filling in for Deshaun Watson till he gets back, and he's the definition of a pretty decent quarterback. Maybe if he were a backup, which he basically is. I mean, when Deshaun Watson plays, when a team has a pretty good quarterback, he's one of the better backups in the league. You know what? I'm going to give some respect to Jacoby Brissette. He's been pretty solid. They had a great Monday night win against the Bengals. He played well. I think C tier is where Brissette belongs. I don't think he's quite D tier. He's pretty good. Jalen Hurts, an MVP candidate for the 8-0 Philadelphia Eagles. He's been a great story. Their team's been awesome. He's really taken that leap forward. I thought he was B/C tier coming into this year. He's made improvements as a passer. He's a better leader. He's just smarter, really efficient, a great leader now, and obviously a big reason why the Eagles are so good. Do I think he's S tier quite yet, despite being an MVP candidate? I'm not quite sure he's S tier because I think he still needs to make some improvements passing the ball, and I think I need to see a little bit more, but he's obviously a very good quarterback. I think he's in the A tier, not quite at the top tier right now, but maybe at the end of the season he might be. I just want to see a little bit more. I just do. I want to see a full year of him being this level, and maybe he will be in the S tier pretty soon. Jameis Winston, well, this really should be Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton's not here. You can mix and match. I mean, Jameis Winston is healthy right now, but he basically did get benched for Andy Dalton. So, I don't know. I think they're both kind of C tier. They're both decent. They're all right. They can move the ball downfield, collect a good amount of passing yards, but both of them, they're not going to take the team to the next level, and they both will make a good amount of mistakes. Neither of them has a ton of rushing upside, so it's not like you're going to have a completely stagnant offense with these two, but they make a lot of mistakes, and they're not great, not efficient. So for that reason, C tier for Winston and Dalton. Then we have Jared Goff. Okay, Jared Goff was playing like a B tier quarterback earlier this year, but the last few games he has not played as well. And look at the Lions, they're 1-6. So Jared Goff, not bad. Moves the ball downfield, kind of similar to Winston and Dalton, but he does make a good amount of mistakes, not a lot of rushing upside, not a good team. So I have to put Jared Goff in C tier. He's a pretty good kind of cheap fantasy option, and the numbers relatively are there, but I don't think he's higher than C tier. Next, we have Jimmy Garoppolo. This one's tough because, some people might argue B tier because he doesn't he makes some mistakes, but he has a decent floor, but not a high ceiling. So the question is he above this kind of C tier of quarterbacks? I think he is. Maybe it's because his team is always good. It's not necessarily because of him. But yeah, he's more relevant than a lot of these guys. Maybe he's a little better. So I think B tier is fair. You can debate C tier. Jimmy G's one of the players that's really on the border of two tiers. He's kind of a tough call. So I don't know. Do whatever you want with Jimmy G. It's a tough call. Next, we have Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty. got to the Super Bowl last year. He's clutch, he's gritty, he's tough, despite a really not good offensive line. He still makes things happen. He doesn't have Jamar Chase right now, but he's able to find a way to put up great numbers and for the most part, lead his team to victory. It didn't happen on Monday Night Football. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I am. But Joe Shiesty's proven a lot in this league already. I think he's S tier. I do. I think he's better than Dak Prescott. I think he's better than Jalen Hurts. I think he's better than Aaron Rodgers right now. It's bold. A lot of you might think A tier. Maybe you don't like it, but I like it. I think Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow, under the circumstances, his offensive line that they said they fixed, they really didn't. He takes a beating, and he still finds a way to be a really, really good quarterback. Next, we have Tom Brady, the GOAT. You might have heard of this guy. Definitely an S tier, just like Aaron Rodgers coming into this year. But just like Aaron Rodgers, he's underperforming, not playing as well. We know the family issues he has right now. So Tom Brady, like Aaron Rodgers, I have to say, I think he's slipped down to the A tier. Still moving the ball downfield, but just the number of touchdowns he's getting. He's got like 9 touchdowns through 8 games. Losing record for the team. I just can't really put him higher than A tier. He's not playing nearly as well as he has the last couple years in his tenure in Tampa, or basically, he might be having his worst year in the last 15 years statistically. So I have to put him in A tier. I don't think he's up there in the S tier quite, or right now. I mean, he's been there for a long, long time. Maybe gets back there, but regardless, next we have Josh Allen. I think the front runner for the MVP. He was an S tier coming into this year, and he's, you bet he's an S tier now. I mean, he's probably S plus tier right now. You can argue he's the best quarterback in the league. I think it's reasonable to say that. It's between him and Mahomes for me. I might go Mahomes. I might give Mahomes the slight nod right now, but because Allen did beat Mahomes a couple weeks ago, and he's more of a complete, rushing and passing QB, you can say Allen's better, but I still like Mahomes a little bit because he has a ring and he can make even more incredible throws, or the types. He can make every throw ever. So I just like Mahomes a little bit better, but you can argue Josh Allen. Either way, they're both. I mean, obviously Josh Allen is S tier. Then it's Justin Fields. Justin Fields was a D tier quarterback, I think, coming into this year. First handful of games he was D tier, but I think the last 2-3 weeks, he's played a lot better. He's passing more. I think the Bears are letting him pass more. His rushing upside is ridiculous. He is such a great rusher. And I think he deserves to be in the C tier. I don't think he's in the D tier. I got to give Justin Fields some respect. He's a pretty decent quarterback right now, especially recently. Justin Herbert, I mean, coming into this year, maybe he was high A, low S tier, kind of on the border. He hasn't played as well as maybe he should be playing right now. He's still playing well. He's still a great quarterback. I don't think quite S tier, but I think he's in the A tier. Obviously can make a bunch of great plays, and he's having a good year, just not reaching his ceiling that we may have expected up to this point this year, but he can definitely be in the S tier sometime soon. Kenny Pickett. Next up, he took the starting job from Trubisky, as we all expected. But man, I mean, it hasn't been pretty. I mean, just like his last name. I mean, it's a fitting last name. A lot of picks from Pickett. Not completely his fault. That offensive line is really bad, but I have to put him in D tier. I think he's below these guys in C tier. He just hasn't proven much. Feel bad for him. I think he has a lot of potential, but right now, the mistakes he hasn't proven anything. I think that warrants C tier right now, so I will put him in D tier. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is kind of like Derek Carr. Perennially a good quarterback. Obviously, his team is playing so well, 6-1. It's not really mainly because of Kirk Cousins. So I think Kirk Cousins entered this year in the B tier, and I think he stays. He's been solid once again. Good floor, not a high ceiling. So I think Kirk Cousins stays in the B tier. I apologize for whatever that was. Anyway, next we have Trevor Lawrence, my quarterback of the Jags. He came into this year probably D tier with S tier potential. Has he been better this year? Yes, I think he's been better under Doug Peterson, but he's made some really stupid situational mistakes. He's got some rushing upside. He's mobile. I like him a lot. I think he's going to get better. I'm going to put him in the C tier. I think he's made plays, he's shown flashes, but he does make a lot of timely mistakes. Like last week, a pick on the 1 yard line, goal line on first down, and then he threw another red zone interception against the Texans. Like, he's made a lot of mistakes. He still looks like a very young, inexperienced quarterback, but I think he is better this year, and I don't think he's quite D tier because he can make some plays. Kyler Murray entered this year, I would say A tier, and he's been struggling a little bit. I think, his legs, obviously incredible on the ground, so fun to watch when he's scrambling, but I think he's gone down a little bit this year. He hasn't played better this year, and he's been inconsistent. I think he's moved down a little bit. I think he's in the B tier. I don't think he's as good as the guys in A tier, so I think he can regain A tier, maybe S tier, but now that Call of Duty is out, I don't know. It's really up in the air, but he's still good, obviously, even very good, but I just don't think he's at A tier right now for the time being. Next, from one mobile quarterback to another, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson overall has had a very nice year. Started really well. Looked like the MVP frontrunner through 3 or 4 weeks. And then he had a few weeks where he wasn't playing well, and now he's back to playing pretty well. I think Lamar Jackson is in the A tier. I think he's a little bit better than Kyler Murray. I think he's in a higher tier. And his rushing upside in terms of just stats, yards on the ground, touchdowns, it's better than Kyler Murray's. So right now, I think Lamar Jackson is in the A tier. Very good quarterback. Not quite S tier. So I think he's the definition of very, very good. Definitely A tier in my opinion. Mac Jones, the Bailey Zappi Mac Jones saga goes on, but Mac Jones played pretty well against the Jets in a somewhat surprising win over the Jets last week. And Mac Jones is kind of like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields from that rookie class, or from the 2021 draft class. They're just pretty decent right now. Not really good, but not terrible either. So I think Mac Jones being in C tier, I think that's basically where he belongs. Marcus Mariota. We didn't think maybe he would be, we knew he'd be the starting QB for the Falcons, but maybe a year ago, we didn't think we'd ever see him as a starting QB again. And I'll tell you what we really didn't think. We didn't think the Falcons would be in first place in the NFC South, and here they are in first place. Marcus Mariota, he's not throwing the ball a lot, but he's been solid on the ground. He's avoided many mistakes, so I think C tier is good for him. I think that's where he belongs. Decent, keeping them afloat. He's done a pretty good job, all things considered. Matt Ryan, this should be Sam Ehlinger, but Sam Ehlinger's only had 1 start since Matt Ryan's been benched. I think both of them have been, it's only 1 game for Ehlinger, but Matt Ryan was really bad. Both of them, we'll combine them right now and put them in D tier. The QB situation in Indy has not been pretty the last couple of years. We have Matthew Stafford next. Matthew Stafford, what happened to this guy? This guy was A to S tier. He's having a really bad year. I know people are saying he's not healthy fully, but I don't care. If you're out there, no excuses. Matthew Stafford has taken a step back. He's in the B tier for a surprisingly bad Rams offense. Cooper Kupp's the only good member of this offense. They can't run the ball. The whole Cam Akers debacle. Oh man, what's happened? I don't know. I'm still going to put him in B tier because he can turn it around. This is still Matt Stafford, but yeah, not A anymore. Definitely not even remotely close to S. Don't even start with that argument. You have no argument to make for that, obviously. Patrick Mahomes, you have no argument to make for anything other than S tier for this man. I think he's the best QB, as I said earlier. Still is S tier, no question. Man's a legend already. We all know how great Patrick Mahomes is. Easy choice. Zach Wilson was D tier coming into this year, and the Jets have a winning record, surprisingly. It's not because of him. Where's Zach Wilson? Is he D or C? I think Zach Wilson's D tier. I really do think he's kind of holding this Jets team back. Maybe you can argue C tier, but man, he makes a lot of mistakes. He's not efficient. He's just, I think he's a little below Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Marcus Mariota. Like these guys, I think he's a little below them. Zach Wilson's not terrible, but he's not good right now. Still not. So I think D tier is where he belongs. Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis got 1 start, basically didn't even throw the ball. It was just the Derrick Henry show. Ryan Tannehill maybe was B tier coming into this year. He hasn't been that good. I'm going to put Ryan Tannehill in C tier. I think he's a little bit worse than he was the last couple years, and I don't think he's at the level, surprisingly, as these guys in B tier. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of disrespectful to have Jimmy G in the same tier as Kyler Murray. So I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to move Jimmy G down. I'm just looking at this B tier. Jimmy G is not the same as I think these 5 guys right now. I'm going to move Jimmy G down to C tier. I'm sorry, Niners fans. Maybe you actually agree with me. Speaking of mediocre to below mediocre, Russell Wilson. What happened to this guy? What happened to Russell Wilson? He's been so bad this year. I'm tempted. I'm really tempted to put this guy in D tier. That's how awful he's been. But out of respect, we know who this man is. We know what he's done. I will put Russell Wilson in C tier. Man, we have a lot of mediocrity in this league right now. But yeah, Russell Wilson, he has cooked nothing other than he's cooked our eyes, or just burning. Our eyes are burning watching this guy. But, you know, maybe he turns it around. Maybe not. Speaking of someone who's turned it around in a positive way, though, Tua Tagovailoa. The Dolphins have not lost a game that this man has started and finished. He's taken that leap forward. Getting Tyreek Hill, I think, brought the best out of him. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, best 1-2 punch. Tua's getting a lot out of them. Lots of credit to him. He's made a big leap this year. One of the bigger leaps of any quarterback. He was C to D tier coming into this year, but I think Tua's moved up into B tier. And if he keeps playing like this, maybe A tier, not too far down the road. I really am impressed. Lots of credit to Tua. He's become one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. That guy has turned this offense, or made this offense, pretty exciting. So credit to Tua. He's made that leap. Love to see it. Last but not least, whoever the hell the Panthers have at QB. I know it was Baker Mayfield. He was horrible. PJ Walker, not good either. Sam Darnold, he won't even start a game, because don't even get me started. Whoever it is, PJ Walker didn't play the worst game against the Falcons. Might have made the throw of the year to DJ Moore. But regardless, any Panthers quarterback right now is in the D tier. Well, let's just put Darnold in there too, because he deserves it. Both of them. I mean, yeah, that's easy. That one's easy. Panthers might be the worst offense to watch. So guys, this is actually kind of surprising, because I'm surprised we only have 3 QBs in S tier. Maybe, like, you can argue Jalen Hurts is S tier, but I just want to see a little bit more out of him. But we have 6 guys in A, 6 guys in B, lots of guys in C, and 6 guys in D. So kind of balanced, kind of middle of the pack, not too top heavy. So it's an interesting tier list. It went in a direction I didn't expect, but I'd love to hear your guys' opinions, because you can argue different tiers for a lot of these guys. So I'd love to hear your opinions. Comment everything and anything you think have to say about this tier list. I want to hear it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're an NFL fan and you haven't done so already. Why not? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.